politics, faith, family and freedom in Cuba, Belgium, Brazil, Congo, UK and all over the USA to crowds from 14 to 40,000. International leadership speaker, trainer and coach. Author of Learn to Raw Leadership, Attitude Hack, Live a More Excellent Life, 5 Battle Strategies of a Victorious Warrior. 2021 President's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. Founding partner of the John Maxwell team. Toastmaster International Speech Competition semi-finalist. Founder of Tell It Like It Is TV, ThatGuyRocks.com and ThatGuySpeaks.com. Creator of Story Power TV, Transforming Grace TV, and Leading Leaders Podcast. Producer of 4 TV programs and podcasts for Liftable TV and World Trumpet Television as well as multiple social media channels. Please help me welcome J Loren Norris.
When I was a little kid, I used to get in trouble all the time for telling stories. The problem was I wasn't like telling stories like narrating or creating just events in my head like a story might be. I was lying. Yeah, I was lying. I would get in trouble for telling stories, but the stories were actually lies. Now let me distinguish between a great story or a story told well or a lie. Because sometimes fictional stories and lies are entirely different. A fictional story may be a story that's made up like a metaphor or a fable. An illustration whose only purpose is to make a point. But a lie, well, that's a whole different thing. That's usually about manipulating people into doing something that they normally wouldn't do, or believing something that has no basis in truth. Leaders tell good stories every day. And I'm going to tell you why in this episode of Leading Leaders.
Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.
I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, and I encounter people on a regular basis who want to tell a story, but it's like the whole memoir of their life is the story they want to tell. They want to tell you from the very beginning of their day, their days on earth until yesterday. And most people, well, they just don't have time for that or interest. They don't care. They don't care about all of the things that have happened in your life. They want to know what has happened in your life that's relevant to them. But let me take that one step further, because a lot of people tell stories to themselves to try to boost their energy or boost their ego or boost their confidence. And the challenge with some of their stories is, well, the stories they tell themselves have no basis in truth. That can be a challenge. You lose your identity when everything that you tell yourself is the fake it until you make it kind of story. If the stories that you're telling about yourself are so far projected that they have no basis in reality, they're not really making healthy, positive choices for you, and they're not driving you toward healthy, positive choices either. They're kind of driving you into a fantasy land. Now, if you want to live the rest of your life with VR goggles on and live in a meta world that really has no tangible reality, then I guess that's fine. But if you want to live in a real world and you want to have success in the real world and you want to have strong relationships in the real world, if you want to build your character in the real world, then you've got to tell yourself stories that have valid reality to them, although they also possess projection. When I talk about good stories, I mean stories that have generally and genuinely thought through what the future might hold, what the future could hold, the possibilities, the crafting of a vision, the development of the goals, and the tactical steps you're going to have to take to accomplish those goals. What things do you have to put in place to see the ambitions of your heart come to pass? Not ethereal, woohoo kind of ideologies, but if I do this enough times, if I go to the gym and I work out on the treadmill enough times, then I should expect this kind of result. Well, where do you come up with that idea? Well, if I eat enough ice cream then I can expect my waist size to do what? Shrink? No, not unless you have some major allergy to dairy. Chances are the more ice cream you put in your gut, the bigger your gut's going to get, because ice cream tends to do that. Only for every other human on Earth. But, maybe you're unique. I don't know. Do you see where I'm going with that? The story that you tell yourself doesn't necessarily change the reality around you until the story that you're telling yourself and the people around you is aligned with reality. Now, I did meet not too long ago, I met a guy by the name of Dr. Rob, Dr. Rob Velasquez. Part of his mission as a doctor who consults people on their diet and their lifestyle and their quality of life is to help people understand that what works well for your body type may not work well for the person right next to you, your spouse, your sibling, your best friend, your teammate. In fact, he does a biological study of everybody down to the DNA level and says, here's some allergies you may not know you had. Your body is doing things uniquely in response to that food that you're eating or that thing that you're drinking. Your body is doing something differently than everybody else's body does with it. Again, the story you're telling yourself, ice cream won't make me fat, it never made me fat before, might change when your DNA changes as you get older. As your metabolism changes, the story might need to change. I never had to work out before. I was skinny all my life. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you got a little older and your metabolism changed. Your diet changed your metabolism. Your age changed your metabolism. Your geography. You move from one part of the world to another and suddenly you have allergies. And you're thinking, I never had allergies before. Now I have allergies. See, all of these things are tangible aspects of reality. And it doesn't matter the story that you tell yourself. If you lose contact with reality, then you're writing fiction. You're telling stories the way I used to tell stories and get myself in trouble. But don't think for a moment that the stories you tell yourself don't have an impact. I want to show you this graphic. I found this morning. Dr. Caroline Leaf is a neuroscientist, and she said in her podcast, and you can check out this podcast episode number 448. She says, every morning you wake up with new baby neurons, and you can determine the quality of growth by how you use your mind. That growth can impact your day, your week, your month, your life, because the neurons shape your brain. That's why it's essential to develop a good mind management routine every morning. I'm going to encourage you to go listen to the podcast. Listen to everything she's telling you about how to manage your mind. I'm going to tell you one really simple trick for managing your mind. Now, some people, they'll put this in the category of meditation. Some will put it in the category of mantras. Some will put it in the category of affirmations. I'm going to tell you all of them have a very similar, if not the same impact. And that is when you tell a story to yourself about what you're going to do for the day. Maybe you just read through the calendar of the things you've already scheduled yourself to do for the day. Maybe you read through the task list of the things that you intend to accomplish today. And as you reread those out loud, as you think to yourself about all the tasks and assignments, the things that you have to accomplish, suddenly you feel like, okay, I can do this. Or maybe you feel, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. If that's the case, then maybe you need to shuffle some of those things to another day, or you need to take a deep run at this and think, okay, I'm going to have to change my attitude. I'm going to have to push a little harder. I'm going to have to dig a little deeper in myself. But see, here's what happens for most people. They have no framework for what they're about to embark on in the day. They jump up in the morning, they get ready for their day, they grab a cup of coffee, they grab a Red Bull or a 5-hour, whatever it is, and they dive into the day, and life just keeps coming at them like someone standing on the freeway watching the traffic approach. As opposed to taking an aggressive stance toward life and saying, here's what I'm going to accomplish. Now, I encourage you as a leader to tell good stories to yourself every day. Sometimes more than once a day. But if you will do it every day, I'm going to accomplish these 5 things before lunch. I see myself doing these 6 things before the end of the day. I have a plan to get home at the end of the day, having accomplished everything on my to-do list. I will sit down and watch the football game. I will come home and rake the leaves. I will come home and spend time with whatever it is that's in your list of desired accomplishments. But if you simply jump into your day and you let the day attack you rather than you attacking the day, if the story in your mind is, and we've all had these days, I am overwhelmed. If you find yourself halfway through mid-morning and you are overwhelmed, it's because the story you're telling yourself is deep down in your psychology and it says, I am overwhelmed. And you're reminding yourself, I am overwhelmed. And you're allowing yourself to get even more overwhelmed. And that is not good. But the story that you're telling yourself just sounds like and feels like, I am overwhelmed. You're going to have to get beyond that. And the way to get beyond that is to tell yourself a good story. To build a framework around what the day will look like and feel like. Now, if you've ever done a really good vision exercise, and I don't just mean a vision board, those are good. They help you to craft that image. But if you've done a good vision exercise, it will sound similar to the song Paint Me a Birmingham. Now, I'm not going to give you all the lyrics to that. I'm going to give you part of them, and then I'm going to challenge you to go to YouTube Music or somewhere and listen to the song Paint Me a Birmingham by Tracy Lawrence. Yeah, it's a country song. You'll have to tolerate that. But I want you to understand the quality of the story that is told in that song and the vision that it paints. And I'm going to give you this challenge. If you listen to that song, you're going to have an image in your head. When you have that image in your head, paint me a Birmingham, a little house on the edge of town, porch all the way around. Put her there in the front yard swing in a cotton dress, make it early spring. You have an image in your head. Now, the image in your head isn't just there abstractly. It's there emotionally. It's there relationally. And let me tell you something else. When you're cruising down the highway on an old country road, I don't care what state you're in, it doesn't have to be anywhere near Birmingham, Alabama. When you're cruising down the highway and you see that country house on the edge of town with a porch wrapped all the way around, and you see a front yard swing, something in your mind is going to be looking for a girl in a cotton dress sitting on that swing. Because there's something emotionally that's motivating you to see that image again. In the brain, it's called the reticular activating system. You've seen it in your mind's eye, and now you'll see it or something like it, and every time that something like it comes up, you'll be emotionally attached to that. Now, if that's a negative attachment, you'll feel negative emotions. If that's a positive attachment, you'll feel positive emotions. Just by the story you've told yourself in your mind to look for that scene. If you will take the time to tell good stories to yourself every day that sound as descriptive as the success of Paint Me a Birmingham, if you can see yourself finishing the day on the rocking chair, in your favorite recliner, sitting on the patio, on the beach, whatever it is for you that looks like I won the day. I won the day and my bank account balance is higher. All those stock trades that I made were off the charts. Every new deal that I signed was incredible. I brought in all the customers I needed to. I've accomplished every task on my list. Whatever it is that you need to see as a great success so that your inner somebody goes, yay! Tell that story every day until it starts to happen. As you seed that into your imagination, it's going to begin to grow. Now, if you get up every day and you tell yourself, today is going to suck. It's Monday. Hate Mondays. Guess what kind of day you're going to have? Yeah, one of those kind of days. If you get up and attack the day every day, even on the days that you see or expect the worst thing in the world to happen, even if the world falls apart today, I will be joyful. I will be grateful for my family. I will be grateful for my life. I will be grateful for my health. I will rejoice today over something, no matter how bad the rest of the day gets. If I have a blowout of all 4 tires, wreck my car, and have to walk to work, I will rejoice that I still have a job. Yeah, that sounds ridiculous, but I'm telling you, those little baby neurons in your mind, they're looking for you to coach them. They want you to tell them a story so they know what to do for the day. They need your encouragement. They need your insight. And so do you. You need to tell you a good story. You also need to tell your team a good story. As a leader, you influence the decisions they make, the attitude they have. Oh, if you haven't even started yet, you ought to dig into the Attitude Hack. It's one of the courses on my website. You can also find it on Udemy. But in the Attitude Hack, we talk about how the stories that you tell as the leader are more contagious in your work environment than the common cold. Yeah. You thought CV-19 was dangerous and would spread like wildfire. Not even close to a bad attitude. Walk into your office with a bad attitude. Walk into your family home in the evening with a bad attitude. It spreads faster than a wildfire in West Texas heat. You've got to manage your attitude. But the number one thing to managing your attitude is telling yourself a good story. Telling a good story to your team. And I don't mean something that's just made up and sounds entertaining. I mean, base that sucker on reality. Tell a story that's got both in touch with reality and reaching for the future, reaching with hope. So that those who hear that story think, I can do this. I can see that. And in fact, as they're cruising down the highway of life, just like you cruising through the countryside and seeing that house and thinking, that's Birmingham. Right here in Kansas, there's Birmingham. I see it. That's exactly the house he was talking about. It's possible. It's doable. As a leader, I believe you are responsible to tell a good story every day. Take the time to craft that story before you get out of bed tomorrow morning. Do it now for today. But tomorrow morning, take the time to craft that story before you even get out of bed, before your feet hit the floor. Ask yourself and answer the question, what kind of day am I going to have today? What will I accomplish? How will it feel when it's over? And how will I know? What will it look like when I've won? Tell that good story every day to yourself and your team. You're going to have a whole different year. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.
Lauren is a master teacher on storytelling, and I learned so much. I'm really going to have to sit down and go back through everything, and I think I might have to have some more coffees with Lauren, but it was totally worth my time, and I really highly recommend it if you're looking to grow your ministry, grow your business, grow your career. Lauren will serve you well.
Thank you.